You can't be mad at me for that. I'm a little shallow and a little dumb sometimes.
I'm not going to be mad. I'll tell you what, though.
You're disappointed.
I will be mad if this next topic bombs. I'm kidding. Don't hold that to yourself. Anyway, so I want to get into fan fiction.
I am so excited for this. When you said
Let's
this,
let's
do this.
So I come from a fan fiction background.
Yep.
I started writing. That's actually how I started writing. I started writing and reading fan fiction back in 2010. Back one of my high school friends was like, "Oh, I'd be reading fan fiction." And I was like,
The hell?
"Excuse me?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh, fanfiction.net." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" And I think that's when I first got my own personal laptop, was back in 2010. And I mean, I got home and I was like, let me see what this fan fiction thing is about. And I remember getting home, cracking open the laptop, and I don't think I stopped reading things until like midnight. And my grandma was like, "Are you still awake? If you don't go to bed before I whoop you."
No, I'm...
And I was hooked from that day on.
You can't stop. So around the same time that I got into anime, so my cousin that I'm closest with, I don't want to say their name on here because I don't have permission to do that yet. They have an older sister who is 4 years older than us. So they're also into anime and everything. So they're the ones that actually got us into everything. So when we were doing all of this, they knew about fan fiction, introduced it to us. So I remember we were going on a family trip driving down to Florida, and my cousin and I literally printed out chapters to the fan fiction we were reading so we could read it in the car because we drive for like 2 days.
You're kidding.
I'm not. I am dead ass. You can text my cousin and she will tell you. Dead ass. We printed out chapters and then we would switch because we like all the same stories.
You're kidding.
No, I'm absolutely not. In between that, we were playing Bloody Roar on the GameCube my mom brought in the car.
Oh my God.
So I have been reading fan fiction for well over 15 years.
On
And before you ask, I have 6 tabs open on my phone right now.
6 tabs?
I have 6 tabs just because literally when I got here, a story updated for me. So I have that open.
Last time I asked, it was 15 tabs of different fics open.
Well, because I was going through because the genre I was reading right now, I had read all of the stories, and so I was just constantly had the tab open to click to see if any new stories had updated. So I was going through I had my bookmarks open, and then I was opening up the bookmarks that I liked and was rereading old stories. Because I have gotten to that point now where I've been reading fan fiction for so long, that I have read through most of the stories of the couples and pairings that I like. That I'm just waiting for the updates.
We're gonna get into so much more fan fiction.
Yeah, we can honestly do an entire episode on this.
I enjoy the pipeline of fan fiction where you've read so much, you're so deep into the fandom, but you can't separate what's fandom, what's fanon from canon anymore. You're just like, wait a minute, did that happen?
I absolutely love that, especially when the fandom as a whole just has decided that it's true and has ignored everything else.
You ever read a chapter so good that was just a little a spin-off of something the creator made and you wish it could be animated because you know it was that good?
I got one better for you. So I read a fan fiction. It was 20 chapters. It was freaking amazing. Somebody wrote a fan fiction to that fan fiction, and it was the same. Where even the author, because I got a little worried because we were talking about it pre-show, and I want to touch base about stealing creative work. I was a little worried the author didn't like it, the original author from the original story. And I'm like, I don't want to read something if they don't like it. And I really, literally, I had that thought, clicked on the comments to see if the author had read anything. And the author was even like, bro, I thought I wrote this. You got the characters right and everything. So, yeah.
You gotta be bad. You gotta be good.
Yeah.
You get a fan fiction of a fan fiction and people just love it. What's the cringiest thing you've ever read? I'll go first.
Yeah,
oh,
please.
You know the infamous My
okay, no. Okay. Other than My Immortal, which, side note, viewers, YouTube, look at me in the eyes. Audio, I'm so sorry. Look me in the eyes. We went to Con 2019. He already knows where this is going. We went to Con 2019. And
this is going to be next.
One of the panels we always go to is cringiest fanfiction. Because, give me that cringy, just garbage. Give me it. I eat it up. So My Immortal is the infamous...
my name is Enemy Darkness Dementia Raven Way.
So the panel is 3 people are up there reading the fan fiction. And this woman starts reading it. This motherfucker next to me is mouthing it word for word. The woman catches eye that he's mouthing it, stops and goes, "Do you have this memorized?" And him and his girlfriend and I are on either side going, "Yeah, I guess." And so sure enough, we actually like end up going back to the hotel after that night and we're like read the next like 6 chapters because
'Cause
I
it's
haven't read it
so-
since the first chapter came out.
It's so bad, it's good.
It's
It's
awful.
funny.
Well,
But then the very next year was Shrek X Lightning McQueen X Donald Trump X.
that was the same year.
Was it the same year?
It was
Oh,
the
that
same
was
year.
the same year.
It was the
just
same
before.
year.
Yeah.
Because
there
I
was-
reached into my boot and pulled out the vodka and just started drinking it straight because that was the only way I could deal with the Shrek versus
allegedly.
Donald Trump. Allegedly. I'm over 21. I'm well over 21. Was at that time too.
Yo, AL3 got something wild. There was one story I had read, and I literally saw the name of it in the tags, and it's just, I'm here now. I have to read this.
You also know about the dead dove do not eat tag, right?
Sorry, what?
Dead dove do not eat. It pretty much means that it's going to be some really crazy shit. Don't read.
Oh my god, I've never seen that tag.
Oh, weird. All right.
All right.
Just added myself there. Anyway.
Just tell on yourself while you're at it. No, there was one fic, and I was just scrolling and saw it, and I had to read it. It was Pegged by Palin, in which Donald Trump is pegged by Sarah Palin in front of Vladimir Putin. And
You texted me about that.
I wanted to stop reading so bad.
You can't.
But like it was.
It's like a train
And
wreck
I'm
on
gonna
fire.
vomit in my mouth when I say this. It was actually well written.
That's the worst part.
Like if you'd just changed the names, I'd have been like, quite tasteful.
I think that's the worst part because, like, you asked me what my worst fan fictions are, and I've read plenty. I've been on LiveJournal. I've been on DeviantArt. I tried to read Wattpad for a while because I was so desperate for fan fiction, and I was like,
That's
oh,
your first problem.
yeah, no. I was like, okay, well, I've read everything on here. I guess this is like, and somebody would. What got me was I think it was on Tumblr. Somebody was like, "Oh, Wattpad's better than AO3," and I was like, I can't believe that. So I got to see it.
That's a Texas-sized nope, good buddy.
Yeah, and then I started reading some stuff, and it's hard because a lot of the people that are writing it as like, oh, it's from this character's POV, and it's a lot like My Immortal in the fact of like, my name is so and so in parentheses if you don't know who this is, blah 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 blah, that kind of stuff. It feels like my writing when I was like 14 and I tried to write something.
Ooh,
So it just feels like young writing.
You're stumbling on so many things I want to touch on. We don't have enough time.
We literally will have to do a full fan fiction
What's
thing.
your favorite tag? Like if you're scrolling, what's the like if you see this tag and you're clicking on it, what tag is that?
Found Family.
Found
I didn't mean to make you sad. Found Family
No,
or
I love Found Family.
Found Family or I Love Friends to Lovers trope.
Ooh.
The flower shop AU and the tattoo shop AU, coffee shop. I really love AUs, but definitely Found Family is my favorite.
I figured you'd say that. I just took a wild guess.
Yep.
I am an absolute slut for second chance romances. I can, and if you put the wholesome tag,
You
can't get enough.
When I want to make myself violently cry of unhappiness.
The violently word in there makes it funnier.
Hurt no comfort, right romance, wrong time.
Don't do that.
Don't
do that. Why would you do that?
When I like sometimes I just need to cry. And like I will find my favorite pairing that was right person, wrong time, hurt no comfort. That is a different level of angst train that I will end up crying. And like you know what? We have to do a whole full podcast on fan fiction because like I have so many more things we'll talk about, and I don't want to touch on that now.
No, okay. We can also do a special YouTube video where I'm just like, hey guys, if you don't want to hear us just nerd about fan fiction without a structure, click away now.
Yeah, just go away. Just go away.
But I love the wholesome tag, and the funniest part about why I stopped using fanfiction.net and moved to AO3, which is also worse, is that so many tags are just like violently together that have no business being together. Because like one tag, because like there'll be the same story where you and your favorite character go on a picnic, and I forget what it's called when it's just
like reader character X.
Yeah.
Character
fluff,
reader.
Fluff.
Yeah, I love
so there'll
fluff.
be a lot of fluff, and I'll check the tags out because I'm experienced, and the tags will be like vanilla, wholesome, fluff, lactation.
Yo,
It's
you're
like-
just like, How do we get here?
How did we get here?
How do we get here?
But we're both avid readers of it, and what I wanted to also get into was like, how valid is fan fiction? I think very valid. I couldn't not have this episode without asking you that question.
So for me, fan fiction has gotten me through some of the like craziest times of my life. I have consumed if they were books, if the equivalent of the amount of fan fiction that I've read throughout my entire years, as somebody who struggled with reading as a kid because of my ADHD, I had such a hard time reading because of it. And then discovering fan fiction, I have probably read at least 3 libraries worth of books since then of fan fiction. And the fact that people do this for free and they're so fucking creative. It's just amazing. And like I always feel so weird when I like read the like author's notes and they're like, I'm so sorry this chapter took us such a long time. You know, I'm in uni finishing my exams, and I'm like, bro, dude, you're completely good. You're doing this for free. Take your time. I will wait. It's enjoyable. But I also love the pride that people have for it. I was telling you pre-show, somebody had posted on TikTok the saddest author's note that they ever saw.
Don't do this again.
No, I'm doing it again. And the person was like, hey, that's it. I finished the story. I'm so sorry if it seemed rushed. This isn't quite how I wanted to end it, but I have surgery tomorrow, and there's only a 20% chance that I'm going to make it. And I wanted to make sure this story was finished before, just in case anything happened. And like everyone in the comments was like, has it updated? What's going on? And it wasn't until about like a week or 2 later, there was an update to the story. It was just an author's note. And the person's like, hey guys, I didn't expect the overwhelming, support. I'm okay. I'm good. She then wrote like the second chapter, that how she wanted it to go, like wrote the original ending and wrote on like 16 more books. But it's amazing. Like the amount of talent these people have. Like speaking of My Hero, there's somebody who's rewriting all of the Harry Potter books as My Hero characters.
That's awesome.
There's somebody else who's rewriting all of the stories of Harry Potter from Draco's perspective or from Hermione's perspective, which is all amazing and free. And like you said, it's just the talent, the raw talent you get to see from these people. And again, it's for free. They're doing this for fun, and our enjoyment that we can just consume is amazing, and it should not be shit on.
I feel you on the pride point, because I was writing a fan fiction for like 3.5 years essentially, and I wasn't even going to finish it, but Ashley told me to finish it, so I did. And it's like a 55,000 word romantic monster.
I hate that you won't let me read your stories.
You can read this one.
Okay.
It's a fanfic. It's the only reason I haven't sent it to you is because it's of a show that you haven't seen.
Okay.
My favorite anime, Shirobako.
I need to watch that.
And it's one of like 4 fan fictions of Shirobako on the site. Like nobody sees this and goes, I got something. No.
But for those like 6 people that the 100 people that are those fans, they will eat. I can tell you as somebody who's like, I need stories for this, and it's the same 30 stories and it never updates. I will read all of them.
I've written so much more since then. That one gets the most pride out of me. I love it. I work so hard at that. So I think it's valid. I love it. It's very. And I wanted your opinion on this because I had a pretty sizable Reddit comment about why it is. But I'm asking you, why do you think fan fiction gets so much hate?
I think it's kind of like the same thing where like early onset of people who are like nerds into nerdy things. I just feel like
that's a good point.
People, the general public, don't quite understand it. I feel like it's an easy thing for people to make fun of, but they don't actually realize what it is. Because I feel like when people are getting into fan fiction, it's a little bit hard. You have to scroll through some, especially like on Wattpad and Tumblr and LiveJournal and DeviantArt when it was around, and even AO3. Learning how to scroll through and find and filter through and find amazing work of arts. There's some hot garbage on these apps. Like there's actual hot garbage on these apps. Like, and I say that as one person literally wrote an entire story that just said hot garbage. I've read it because I didn't want to actually think that they wrote an entire novel of hot garbage.
Without a doubt, because
it was.
Because there's a rule that I've adopted recently. 90% of anything in any genre is trash.
Yeah.
90% of music, any genre, trash. 90%
10%?
Shows, trash. And even then, of that 10%, some of them are just, okay.
Yeah.
Like, and that definitely applies to fan fiction.
Yes.
But like, reading so much, there's so much genuine, real books I've read and downloaded, and I'm just looking at it like, this is terrible. But and like some of the best things I've ever read have really been fan fictions, not just because I already know the characters in the world, and the writer doesn't have to waste time establishing all that, but because you understand why people like the story,
Mm-hmm.
and you can just play off of that and just take off into a whole new
Well,
plot. It's great.
I've been reading like an actual in-book series since I was 14. It's still continuing going on, and I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to like any hate on the author because it's one of my favorite stories. But some of the later books, they become predictable. I can understand where they're going. I can kind of get the next point. I can go along with it, and it's enjoyable because it's the writing's good. I love the characters and stuff. But I have been brought to more like visceral emotions from certain fan fictions and from more often from fan fictions. There's something about how some people are able to write. It's just amazing comparative to some books where it's like, this is trash. Like I'm on book TikTok, and I know there's some books that I read that were on there. I'm like, all right, but I'm gonna give this a shot. And I've read, and I'm like, I'm an avid smut reader too, so I read it, and I'm like, this was actually like awful. Like this is terrible. This wasn't even like well written. Like none of this is good. And yet I'll be in fan fiction and I'm like, all right, you people can write stories.
I have such a love-hate relationship with Book Talk.
Me too.
It's
And I
like,
think Book Talk has a love-hate relationship with Book Talk.
oh my God. I feel like if you've ever listened to like a person of color, like there was this woman I was a big YouTube fan of, but she stopped uploading regularly and I kind of just lost track. She was talking about her experiences on Book Talk and just how toxic it is. And I'm like, y'all just talking about books and reviewing. But then that's just how YouTube little circles and niches go where people are just terrible people.
Yeah.
Never know your idols.
No. No.
Never know. But like so many books, I'm like, oh, I read that one. That's good. And then I read that one. That's terrible. Why would you like these?
Yeah.
I don't take recommendations from these people.
I take them with a huge grain of salt. Like, but when it comes to fan fiction and why people make fun of it, I think, again, it's just one of those things where it's still just like a huge unknown. I don't think people realize the huge community that these stories create and help, go forward. The AUs of AUs and the comfort that, you have these characters that people find comforting in the anime, and to write out a story that you can plan out the way that you would like it to give your characters a happy ending if you want to, or see them get the ending you think that they deserve. I think for a lot of people heals a lot of hurt. And I just feel like the general public just don't quite get that. I think they just are like, oh, it's whatever, it's nerdy, it's reading. But I also think still for a lot of people, reading is such a nerdy concept for them. Like even now,
Americans don't read.
Americans don't read. But like even now, like if I'm reading a romance novel and like work or anything, or I'm at home or I'm around family, it's the stigma of, oh, it's, you're reading another, romance novel. Yeah, I like knowing that it's going to have a happy ending, and it's the characters are going to ride off into the sunset, and it's going to be okay. Like, so what I read? Like, what?
I read two genres, and I remember telling this to you. Like, romance, I love it, but, like, there's so many of them that just aren't very good. Because it's like, what?
I was going to say, have you tried reading romance novels written from the 80s? Because my mom watched me read romance novels written from the 80s, and I almost yeeted that book into the fire. We were camping. The amount of it was like a domestic abuser's checklist.
Oh,
but it was supposed to be like, and it was weird because I love this author, but like mom's like, the times have changed, and I was like, okay, that went from what a good potential suitor would do to this is borderline stalking and abusive. Like I said, my mom literally was audibly laughing at me with my face of pain of like, nope.
I do understand that a lot of these little tropes and things aren't for me because like it's a fantasy. Romance is like 90% targeted towards women. I'm like, let women have things. If there are some women that fantasize about a man that wants them so bad they'll kill other people to do it, let them have it.
Yeah.
Let them have it.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not gonna shit on it.
Yeah.
Like so many romance books are just like, that's what that book did. I'm gonna recycle it. But
you mean like 50 Shades of Grey?
Ooh.
Twilight bringing on the 50 Shades of Grey, bringing on literally every other trash that we've seen afterwards.
Oh, every trope you've ever seen.
Everything.
The brooding hero in the back, just. So I have 3 reasons why fanfics get so much hate. I'll see if you agree with them.
Okay.
Number one is elitism. So many people, so many fucking writers, well, professionally at least, are just absolutely elitists. Like, a lot of those people feel that not creating your own world, not creating your own characters, not creating your own
Okay,
plot lines is a bit beneath a person that genuinely does all of it themselves.
I mean, that, like, I get where that comes from. I've never thought of it as a writer perspective, but that's the difference because I'm a consumer and you are a writer. I can see how that could be elitist for some people, but also if you feel that way, eat a bag of dicks.
That's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people go, fan fiction's good for practice. And it's like, well, what if it's just a hobby. Like, and I've really had to struggle with this, is like, your hobbies aren't necessarily supposed to make you money. I want to
make you happy.
Like, I want to write and make money.
Yeah.
But if it's like, Evan, you're just not that good, I can live with that. I'm
Yeah.
trying to be better at it. Like, I've never become a Twitch streamer because gaming's for me. I don't want people sitting as I'm just talking to myself, making up scenarios for all the character NPCs I see.
Yeah.
Just being dumb, doing one mission for like an hour because I want to take my time with it. But like, so when it comes to writing, a lot of those people just feel that, well, I created my whole world and a magic system and these characters, and you just had Steve Rogers go off with Tony Stark into space. I think I'm better than you. And that's a fan fiction I read, by the way.
No, I know. I think I know that one.
And like, they just feel just so uppity about it. And I think that's definitely why fan fiction gets so much hate.
Yeah.
And plus, a lot of writers don't like when you take their characters and write a different plot with it because
I straight up know authors who
they get
like
insulted by it. Like George R. R. Martin, the creator of Game of Thrones, he knows his work is getting fan fictioned out. He hates it though.
Well, that was back on like the really early days of fan fiction. Back in like when I first started, authors literally had to write, every author's note started with, I do not own any of these characters or this work, do not sue, because I can't remember which author actually sued a fanfiction writer for defacing property or something like that because they wrote a fanfiction over it. And like, I can understand you can be protective of your creativity, but at the same time, this person was just doing for fun. They made no money off it.
Yeah. Like, I just like your work. Like, it speaks to me on some level, and I just did it. Like, I don't understand the issue there.
And like, no one had like reached out being like, hey, don't do this. Like, a lot of people, there's great, like the series I was telling you about that I've been reading since I was 14. I would love to read fan fiction about it. The other straight up's like, hey, I don't like people writing stories about my characters. So there's like a few people that have like written some short stories that I've seen on like a Tumblr and stuff. There's like no stories about it because the author was like, hey, no, don't do it.
On a side note, if you're a fan fiction writer, don't ever send your works to the author. They hate that.
No, don't do it.
Don't like, hey, I like these two characters. Here's like a 1,000.
Also, if you're writing it,
fucking,
yeah,
like, please.
Also, if you're writing it about
yourself.
real people, like creators and stuff, like content creators, make sure they're comfortable receiving that stuff. A lot of people are okay with you writing about it, but they don't ever want to read it. Because most of the time you're pairing them with their friends. They don't want to read that shit.
So I got another one.
What's up?
This is probably going to be a short one, but you might have a lot to say about this. I don't know. The Alphabet Mafia. Most ships are gay. And most people don't really seem to fuck with that. Your thoughts?
My thoughts, because I can't remember who I was talking to. I think I was telling Anna, and I was explaining to them my reasoning for enjoying that more. In mainstream media, for me, I have always found the female characters that are written, outside of a few, very lackluster.
Agreed.
They're very much all like boy crazy, or they just don't really have too much of a personality, or the relationships when they do have them are just very like, it just seems very flat. And I enjoy the dynamic of, hey, like when people are pairing, good friends together, they're like, oh, those characters would never be together. They're not gay. I'm like, which is fine. They can do that. But I like the deeper connection those characters have, that could start relationships and can go things with that. And generally like the two badasses, males and the characters and stuff like that, they have more depth to their friendship and to what a potential relationship could be, other than I'm the main girl character and you're the main guy character. We're going to get together.
Yeah. Like, there was a video I was watching a little bit ago where, like, we see so many movies, like, even if it's not at all a romance movie, like it's an action movie, like if we see the male lead and the woman that gets the most screen time. They just bat their eyes for a second. In our minds, we've already decided, yeah, we know where this is going. It just happens. So if the romance isn't even properly set up, we don't really care because we just know it's inevitable what's going to happen.
Every Bond girl ever ends up with James Bond.
But here's when I say that most ships are gay, and this is why mainstream gets mad at it. I'm not mad at it. But when I realized this was Sam and Bucky is a huge tag on AO3. It's massive. And I read this, and I'm like, y'all are wrong. Y'all are wrong. Like, it's your art. I'm not going to tell you how to interpret it. Plus, I don't really care who you ship. There are some ships I find disgusting in a lot of shows, namely Haikyuu. Ashley and I argue about this literally until we're dead. But, like, Sam and Bucky is so popular. And I'm looking at the same dynamic. I'm like, they don't even look like they like each other all that much. Like, they respect each other.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not reading 50,000 of their just filth.
Yeah.
Sex filth. Not that there's a problem with them being gay men. You know what I meant. Don't put no shit in my YouTube comments. Anyway, so I think that's why fan fiction is crapped on a lot, is because we see an almost, I don't want to say overwhelming, but like maybe somebody else would choose to use that word. But like every character we see in just about every show is either straight or assumed straight. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, that's unfortunately the way in life. Yeah. Everyone is either straight or assumed straight.
Yeah. So a lot of fan fiction writers just like, I'm gonna, you know, they're gay. He's gay now. For my story, he's gay. It doesn't change anything about the character besides their sexual preference. A lot of people don't fuck with that.
Yeah.
And I disagree with that. If you want the character to be gay, then they're gay.
I feel like a lot of people, especially with Sam and Bucky, I feel like a lot of them relate to like, oh, they're men's men. Like, they're strong dudes. And that can't be a thing. Like, there's no way that they are in touch with feelings. They can have romantic interest for male? No, brain, no. Like,
hand holding.
They want to hold another male? I think that's like a huge issue that people have.
God. What stand-up comedian said it? He was like, I hate when people say gay guys aren't tough. They fuck men.
I've never heard that. That's awesome.
All right, if I find it, I'll send it to you.
All right.
But lastly, here's the other one I had. And this one, I know for a fact you're going to agree with this. Most fan fiction writers are teenage girls, and we know how society treats teenage girls.
I believe Wilbert Shute said it best of there is not a single thing teenage girls can have interest in without everybody shitting on it.
Yeah. Like, again, I say, part of me, if you're on the internet, you're going to get joked on.
Oh, yeah.
That's just how it is. Like, that's it. You're getting these jokes. But, like, when it comes to what young girls like, it's like they generally can't have it. Like, I laugh my ass off at the girls believing in astrology and the crystal jokes. I like it. But then I'm like, okay, you're done. We're good. We get it now. Like,
you're beating a dead horse at this point.
Yeah. Like when it first came out that Mercury's in Gatorade and that means I gotta go somewhere because her chakras are off. Like, that shit was funny. But I'm like, okay, it's been like 2 or 3 years now. We can move on to the next thing. Like, remember how much vitriol Justin Bieber got back in the day when he was just making music for teenage girls? Mm-hmm. Like, think about that for a second. Like, they was mad at a 14-year-old boy for catering to that audience of 14-year-old girls. That shit was nuts.
Like, and then I always try to think of this too when I argue with somebody. Or like, oh, it's so stupid that, you know, teenage girls like this. And then I want to be like, all right, well, you're a grown-ass man. Why the hell do you care so much about what what teenage girls like?
Hard agree.
Why do you care? Oh, all teenage girls do this. Yeah. I knew a bunch of 14-year-old boys when my brother was around that age that would have lost their mind if their hot pockets got too hot or they lost in a video game. The rage quit. You don't see people losing their mind of being like, oh, teenage boys, they only freak out about this kind of stuff. Like, it's not funny. I don't need to shit on teenage boys for liking sports or liking anime or liking, video games and stuff as their entire personality. We don't need to shit on little girls for doing this, teenage girls for doing the same. Yeah. Like, grow up, find better material. If you're not funny, just say it.
Yeah, like, you can joke on it, but like at a point, it's just like, stop.
Yeah.
I wish I had a better way to put that.
It kind of reminds me of like, and this is kind of a side note, of like all of the TikToks and all the videos where it's like girls making coffee, and then I fucking hate these videos. Or like girls on their period and they're making like a meal or a drink and they pour like an entire gallon of ice cream in it, and then like the chocolate. I'm like, that's not funny. That comedy's not funny. Yeah. That you're talking to the one girl who is a pick me girl. Like, like that's not.
Oh my god.
It's joke's dead.
I
It's not funny.
initially didn't. I'm not gonna say didn't like those videos didn't really bother me. But then I think when Vine kind of died and they had to do YouTube things, like those same creators putting wigs on and just being loud impersonating black women, like that bothered me after that point. Like, cause I don't know how to explain this to you,